Hello, Millwall fans. Paul Eiffel here. It's time for Chat with Chaps.
Hello, good morning. Welcome to Chat with Chaps. I'm your host, Joe Zampa, fresh from my holiday. And what can I say? I was expecting that last night. But we've got a lovely bunch of panelists today with us who are up and early. And some of them are looking worse than others. I won't give out any names. I'm sure you can work out for yourselves. But anyway, I really appreciate everyone on here this morning, bright and early, to give their thoughts on yesterday's game. So, firstly, to my left is the Sicilian godfather, Angelo Miliotta. How you doing, Angelo?
Yeah, I'm okay, Joe. Good to sleep that shit show off yesterday. So, feel a little bit better today. But yeah, it was awful yesterday. It was... do you know what it felt like, mate? It felt like a Rowett game. It was that bad, wasn't it? It was like, even my son at the end, he went, I ain't fucking coming on Tuesday. It was one of them. It was, terrible game. But yeah.
The worst thing is, I've already got my tickets for Portsmouth. And I'm thinking, why? But yeah. I guess that's why we do it for. We love Millwall, don't we?
Yeah. This is good therapy, so we can get it all off our chest.
Yeah, exactly. We'll go clockwise. So underneath yourself is the one and only Disco Steve, fresh from the nightclub. No sleep for you last night, was it? You come straight in.
Yeah, straight off the dance floor. Straight off the dance floor here, Joe, for you this morning. So don't feel quite as bad, rough as George, but straight here. I think like Angelo, after a night's sleep, you calm down a bit, don't you, and think it through. But look, without going ahead of myself, I'm starting to be a bit worried now about the next few weeks, so which we'll debate now, I've no doubt. But welcome back, Joe.
Cheers, mate. And also, Disco, fantastic job, mate, hosting the lives when I was away. I think everyone would agree. You've done a brilliant job, and thanks to everyone who was involved, Ben, yourself, and Angelo, and else who was involved. Cheers for carrying those going. So good work, Disco, and at least we got you to call on the next time I go away, which I really appreciate your help, mate. Thanks a lot.
Joe, you're going to have to win back your place, mate.
I know. I've got a game, haven't I? I've got my game. Jesus Christ.
The first team spot now.
I'm going to get my P45 soon at this rate. Jesus Christ.
I've heard that on Millwall polls it was a 90%, 10% in favour of
Was it a landslide, was it?
Yeah, a landslide.
I have to hire Angelo to fucking do a hit on Disco.
Mate, Disco Stelling now, mate. That's his new name.
Disco Stelling. Love it. Anyway, let's keep going round. So clockwise, looking a little bit worse for wear, is the one and only TikTok George. How you doing, George?
I'm all right. Well, I say I'm all right. Feeling a bit rough this morning after my trip to the local Witherspoons last night. But it feels even worse that I've got to go over yesterday's performance again. But yeah, I'm good.
That's one way to cure the hangover, isn't it? Talking about fucking yesterday's game. So talk me through your tactics again, George. We were just talking off air, weren't we? What's your tactics for getting more beer down your throat last night?
So the tactics is right. Is to have a tactical chanda is what it is. It's attacky seed, as some of the kids might know it as. You're basically right. You've had too many.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know you've had too many, but you go to the toilet, you go to the bog, and you get it. It's 2 fingers down the throat, sick, and you bang. You can fit a few more beers in after that, and then you're sorted. So that's what my tactic was last night, and feeling worse for wear this morning. Feeling worse for wear.
That sounds like the same tactics that me and Angelo use when we go to the all-you-can-eat buffet, isn't it, Angelo?
Yeah, that's right.
Try and get a few more down for different reasons.
Man versus food.
Appreciate you being with us in spirit, George, if you're not here in life. And then last but not least, formerly known as Ben Green, but I think I'm going to call him Ben Red at the moment because he's got loads of frustration and anger from yesterday's game. The one and only Ben Green. How you doing, Ben?
Yeah, I'm all right, mate. As you said, today, well, as Angelo said, today's going to be a therapy session because I'm still raging. I was raging yesterday. And the only reason why I was being sick yesterday was after watching that absolute load of tripe. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to getting it all off my chest.
Good. Well, this is the therapy. We should call this the therapy
session.
So,
yeah,
exactly. Make us all feel better. And but listen, let's get in it. So, guys, as we sort of discussed, this is a real kind of open discussion. It's just a room. We're all going to just chat as if we're sort of sitting in one room or pub together, talk about Millwall, dissecting stuff. But yesterday, straight away, you look at the team sheet and you see Scannon there, you see Joe Bryan, and you're thinking, what on earth's going on? You know, you can only imagine they're going to be changing the formation or do something different. I'm going to drop the grenade in there, guys, and just say, look, what do you make of that formation? And can you see the logic behind it? Was it a good idea, a bad idea? What's your thoughts on that?
Joe, can I start, mate? Right, first things first, right? Alex Neil, yeah, I'm giving the guy 10 games minimum before I call any judgment on the guy. Yeah, he doesn't know these players like we do, and obviously, sadly, he's going to have to go through the pain of watching your Watmores and your Honeymans and your Bryans for him to realise where we are with it all. Yeah, but I was gobsmacked, right? That because I didn't realise at first that he went to a back three. Now, if you're going to a back three, why on earth would you put Bryan in a back three, mate? We've just signed this unbelievably great prospect who's completely match fit. All the Exeter fans are raving about him, yeah? Put him in, mate. Don't put a left back who's like been making mistake after mistake after mistake. Put him in as one of your three centre halves. I couldn't understand that decision, mate.
And to add to that, I can see the logic of maybe putting Joe Bryan as left wing back, because we all say, look, going forward, he probably offers us a good attacking option. Defensively, he's a little bit suspect, we feel at times. So maybe to your point, Angelo, it wasn't a bad shout. We could have brought Cramar and play Joe Bryan as a left back. I just felt a bit sorry for Scannon, really. I mean, I was happy to see, I don't know what you guys feel, I was happy to see Scannon start. We want to see him, but he looked nervous to me. It's like he didn't want to put a foot wrong. And where he was overthinking things, I think he delayed it too much. He lost the ball a couple of times. He wasn't sort of trying to take the player on. He was just getting the ball and just recycling it and playing it backwards. I don't know what you guys thought of that, but for me, Joe,
you mustn't forget, I do think that was his first ever championship start. Do you know what I mean?
Wow. Yeah.
Yes, he wasn't great. Wasn't terrible, mate. Maybe, for their goal, maybe he could have pulled that guy down with a bit of experience, because he's chasing him down the wing. Yeah. With a bit of experience, maybe just bring him down.
A little tug or something, maybe.
I was a little bit disappointed in his performance, but then I thought to myself, bloody hell, he's a young kid. It's his first game back from injury, and it's his first ever championship game. One thing he has got, he's athletic, he has got a bit of pace, and he's only going to get better. So that's the way I looked at the Scanlon.
Listen, I agree, Angelo. And look, I don't want this to be a Scanlon knocking at all, because
not at all.
He looks decent, and I think he was nervous. What I don't get is Alex Neil said in his interview he's a natural left back, so he puts him wing back. So what are we doing? So going back to your initial point, starting with the back. When the team came out, I thought Joe Bryan I thought he'd been listening to Ben on Tuesday night, and he was going to put Joe Bryan further up and play
that's what I thought.
Left-sided attacker. And you think, I'll buy that. I said on Tuesday, I like a bit of balance with players, left foot, right foot, all that. When it then transpired, my mate texted me and said, it's a back three. And I said, no, it's a back four. And it was a back three, allegedly. I think that's a crazy decision to have done that. However, sleeping on it, I then think, well, at least he's trying something. He knows we're not scoring goals. He knows the players he's got available or hasn't got available, especially in the attacking third. And he's tried to change it. But look, the Kramer thing, or Kramer, as you said, Joe, maybe, look, should we have thrown him? He probably only signed, didn't he, right on deadline. It might have been a bit too much of a whirlwind, although he was on the bench. So
Well, this is it. He's fit to play.
Yeah,
He's been playing for Exeter. You know?
Look, and there's enough other teams, isn't there? They buy someone and they're straight in the team the next day. So it was just a bloody disaster, and it didn't get much better even when we changed.
All right. What do you guys think, Ben, George? What's your thoughts on that formation? And
I'm gonna disagree with you fellas actually on the formation change. I mentioned it in the midweek. I actually thought the fact that we've signed. I'm going to go with Kramer because I'm not getting my French accent out this morning.
May we.
The fact that we signed him and Exeter played in a 3 at times screamed to me that Alex Neil was going to look to do that. So I didn't mind the formation change. The way that we're clearly trying to play now, and there was evidence of it very, very limited yesterday, but certainly from Monday against Dagenham, is that we're clearly going to try and get it out wide and overload in the wide areas. And there were times where Joe Bryan was trying to get close to Scanlon. Listen, no one was good in that first half, but he was the least of our worries, in my opinion. At least when he got on it, I thought he did try and get at him a couple of times. Again, the quality wasn't there, but he's a 19-year-old kid, as Angelo said. It was his first senior start. I'm not into. I know it's not a Scanlon bashing, but not for me. He was the best of a very, 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 very shit bunch.
Yeah, George, what do you make of the formation and the personnel that was picked?
It's interesting, right? Because in real time, I didn't see it as a 5 at the back with wing backs. I didn't see it as that. Scanlon was very much tucking in and sort of playing very, very sort of further back to support Joe Bryan. But Ryan Leonard up the other side wasn't getting forward. He wasn't flying forward like a traditional wing back. So I thought at the time, it was just a standard 4-2-3-1, which we've been playing with recently. But he was tucking in Scanlon, and he was okay. It's for his first start in the Championship. He's been injured. He's been out for a while. He's got a good burst of pace on him. You can see he was quite nervous, but he's got a good burst of pace on him. And I thought he did okay. But what it does do, right, the fact we've had to opt to play a 5 at the back and we've had to opt to bring Scanlon in, it just shows how light we are going forward in the attacking department. And Alex Neil, he hasn't got any attacking threat to it at his disposal, does he? We've got nothing going forward. We all know that, and Alex Neil's now found out the hard way.
Yeah. What do you think that was the decision to change that formation to sort of try something different, to give us more of an attacking nature? Because I'm not being funny, if you're at home and you're playing wing backs, you want your wing backs to play so high up the pitch, so attacking, because you're the home team, and dominate and put the pressure on the opposing team. Whereas it can either work for you or against you, can't it? Because if you're on the back foot, suddenly you're playing a back 5. You're playing a back 5 at home against Hull, who are not particularly a good side, are they? Really?
It wouldn't have mattered what we played yesterday, mate. To be perfectly honest, but in terms of the formation, I do think there was an element of, as George said, we haven't got the personnel. We had to change something because we just didn't have the people or players to put out a 4-2-3-1, which is what we've been playing. We just didn't have it. So
what happened to Mayer? Does anyone know what happened to Mayer?
No, I haven't heard anything.
Because he wasn't on the bench, was he, yesterday?
No. Which we all said was baffling, right? Because we had 3 centre halves on the bench, didn't we, yesterday?
Yeah. Because again, if you're Alex Neil, if you're Alex Neil,
must have had a knock, Giles, and say
maybe in training or something, maybe, yeah. Because if you're Alex Neil and you're looking at your bench there, I'm looking at the list here in front of me. I mean, you've got Roberts, you've got McNamara, defender, Wallace, defender, Hutch, defender, Mitchell, midfielder. Okay, Connelly, an attacking player. I mean, we'll talk about Connelly in a minute. Langstaff, striker. You've got Bangura Williams, youngsters, play 10, 15 minutes, and Kramer, another defender. You literally got 1, 2, 3, 4 defenders and a goalkeeper. There's no real attacking options there at all. And there was times you're looking at Bangura Williams as our saviour. The guy's going to come out and try and get us the equaliser. I mean, how bad is that? I mean, don't get me wrong, it's a massive compliment to Bangura Williams, but are we in that? We're in that situation at the moment where with injuries and suspension or players being sold off, of course, we are struggling. We are desperately in need of some attacking players. But I mentioned Connelly, guys. I don't know who wants to go first. And it's very hard to sort of judge him on that second half appearance. But what do you make of him? What do you make of his contribution?
I was not impressed in the slightest, mate. It didn't look like that was his natural position, Joe.
It's not, is it really?
He didn't look comfortable trying to take players on. Yeah.
How many times he tried, Angelo, as well, to sort of do that thing where he kept trying to, run the ball and then try to cut in, and he lost the ball about 3 times, I counted.
Yeah.
And I kept thinking to myself, it just shows you how important or how good Emarku is. Because in those situations, the amount of times we see Emarku running at those fullbacks, and he just goes past them for fun, doesn't he?
Yeah.
And you look at Connelly trying to do the same thing, and this is somebody who's supposed to be like this real amazing, promising player at one point. And to your point, Angelo, I don't see that being his natural position. I see him being an out-and-out forward striker, but I can't see him playing the lone striker role.
Yeah, and obviously, listen, I'm not going to write the guy off after 20 minutes. He was only on 20 minutes or whatever it was. But yeah, my first impression was, oh my God, no, I wasn't that impressed. Joe, can I just go back to obviously the formation change of the wing backs? Obviously, Alex Neil, he's said it a couple of times. He realises we don't score any goals, right? So obviously that was his right. Let's try this. Let's try this, which is fair enough. The only problem we got, and we're going to have to cover it, is that with players like Watmore and Honeyman, we're never going to score any goals, mate. No. It's really sad to say. I hate slagging off our players, but these two guys, it's time to like move out of the way and bring your Bangora Williams in. Do you know what I mean? Like when that kid come on, he had a couple of lovely little touches, couple of little through balls. Straight away, he was a lot more than what they were doing. Do you know what I mean?
Things happen. Yeah, exactly.
That embarrassing attempt when Watmore's gone through and he just falls over at the edge of the box. It's like
I don't know what you guys think of that though. For me, I see it as a little bit of lack of confidence. I think the old Watmore, that was Watmore game 5, game 6 of the season. He would have gone through, had a shot, maybe scored, But it was almost like waiting for that touch to go down to give him the easy option to kind of get out of it. Really,
it's lack of quality, isn't it, mate? It's lack of quality.
Lack of quality or lack of confidence.
100% lack of quality. I mean, I am not a fan of Watmore. Never have been. Haven't raved about him when he scored all the goals beginning of the season. He ain't what we need. He ain't the answer. He's a flash in the pan player that goes on streaks, but in very, very limited streaks. The one that actually annoyed me more was the breakaway chance he had 30 seconds before that. And I have the decision making, so I'm getting really angry again here. The decision making not to pass that from a professional footballer playing the second tier was absolutely diabolical. It was ridiculous. And you can say there's obviously players around him. They should have been screaming for the ball. If that was me and I was his captain, I would have volleyed him for not passing that. I couldn't believe what he did. It was ridiculous. So it might be a lack of confidence, mate, but it's also a lack of quality of what my
and the scary thing is, Ben, to that point, is that you look at yesterday's team who was available. He was probably our only recognised wide winger, what you want to call him, that would guarantee the place of the team. Because
he must be one of the only wingers, Joe, that I can watch dribble the ball 5 times, and at no point does he have the ball under control.
Yeah,
it's embarrassing that. Listen, again, he's been a good servant for us over the last couple of years, but we want to move forward as a football club. Let's start playing Bangura Williams. Let's get those players on the pitch because people like that are not the answer to us moving forward. Yeah. They've done really well for us. Let's start moving them to bit part players. Let's get them on the bench. If they need to come on for the last 20 minutes, let's switch it around because we carry on with players out in the side. We are struggling.
George, what's your thoughts on that, George? Sorry, mate.
No, go on.
Sorry, George.
I fully agree. Duncan Watmore, he's a chaotic footballer. He's a carnage of a footballer. And yesterday he'll do one really good moment where he'll nutmeg a player, and then he won't release the ball and he'll give the ball away, and then they'll go. The other team went up the other end, and I think they almost had an opportunity. I mean, but again, it just shows the lack of depth we've got going forward, the lack of attacking creativity, the lack of spark we've got. And so I came away from yesterday and I was a bit fed up because I've seen some shockers, especially this season, but yesterday was the worst, mate. That was top of the pile. We were awful, and whether or not that had to do with the formation change or not, I don't think the formation had much to do with the performance at all. We were.
Who do you blame though, George? Who do you blame, George?
And we have.
Sorry, George. I think it's a bit of a delay there.
I don't blame. I don't blame any sort of individual at the moment. But for me, the facts are, right, going forward, in the last 2 windows, we've sold our best 2 players. Okay, we've sold Zian Fleming in the summer, and we've sold Romain Esse. And we haven't reinvested any type of money to replace them yet. Fleming went on deadline day, and we got Ivanovic in, who's they're not even like for like in the slightest, and we spent 3 million on him. He's not ready at all, clearly. And I know Esse only's just been sold yesterday, and we're going to get a hefty fee for him. But it's so important that we reinvest that money into the attacking areas of the squad, because we can't score goals for shit. We're awful going forward. We look terrible. We've got no quality on the pitch, absolutely whatsoever, right? So it's so important we reinvest some money into the attacking areas, and we just get something going up front. And I wouldn't necessarily put any blame on Steve Gallen, but it's Steve Gallen's job now to go out and to reinvest into the squad and help Alex Neil out. Bless Alex Neil, mate. He's come in and he's looking at it on paper and he's gone, well, we've sold our best player in the summer. We've sold our best player in January. I've got nothing to work with going forward. I've got 4 or 5 players. Couple of them are young players who aren't ready. And the older heads in the dressing room, the Watmores and the Honeyman of these worlds are fucking useless. So he's got nothing to work with.
Yes. Disco, would you add to that, mate?
Yeah. Sorry, yeah. Look, just to draw a line in the formation thing, I think, again, if you listen to Alex Neil, he sort of hints that he went with that formation to counteract Hull as well. So you think, bloody hell, it was very deliberate on his part, which didn't work. I want to say, what more? It's definitely quality, not confidence. He's shambolic, quite frankly. It's embarrassing. We'll come on to Honeyman, I'm sure, in a minute. George has just raised a good point there, mentioning Esse going. I've been vocal on here saying, look, don't really bother. Well, don't really beat me up that he's going to Palace. Having that shit show yesterday and then going on Twitter and seeing a picture of him in a Palace kit and an away kit, and you think, Jesus Christ, that really was a dagger through the heart. It had to happen, I know, but I'm now regretting him bloody, especially going there. And that could come back to bite us in the balls. Great point on Gallen as well there, George. He's got to show his mettle now. Look, the French guy looks decent, as I think Angelo said, looks really good signing. But let's be honest, that ain't a priority for us right now. It's the attacking third. So he needs to do some good business quickly.
We just look at yesterday's team, and I'm not saying that Esse would have been the answer yesterday, but you just put Esse into that team. Suddenly there's some hope, there's some creativity, but we just looked like we were lost. We had no creativity. There was a time when I thought Saville had a fairly good first half. I think he was getting about. He looked like a lot of energy. He didn't play for the Dagenham game, so he looked fresh. And everyone's been saying he needs to be dropped to sort of like let him recharge his batteries. And I think it showed yesterday where he looked lively. And there was a time when he had the ball. I remember him sort of looking forward. There was no one to pass to. There was no options at all. And I think he ended up playing the ball backwards. And then the first he did was he shouted at Watmore and went mental, was pointing at him and telling him that he should have made a movement or run. And there was another time, I think, when Tanganga had the ball, I think Leonard wanted it. And then Tanganga didn't give it to him. He gave it to Cooper, and he turned back and he had a go at Leonard and he pointed to where he should have been, like push a bit higher at the pitch. So I think a lot of players can see it, but we just lack that attacking edge, don't we, Angelo?
You fellas, sorry, Joe, before we go to Angelo, just to say you fellas wouldn't have seen it as well. Tanganga yesterday, we had a corner and he absolutely tore Ivanovic a new one.
Did he?
He absolutely went into him. It was a passage of play. He didn't make a run, and Tango absolutely laid into him. But just going on to your point again, sorry, Angelo, because I know you're going to come in. But
no, it's an interesting point there, because I think Tanganga, you can see he's slightly getting a little bit frustrated now in recent games.
This was going to be my point, mate. I think you've got a quality player like Tango, and a distinct lack of quality across the rest of the 9 players is ridiculous. The first half yesterday, I obviously was in the WhatsApp group. You're probably all getting bored of me, and I was texting my dad. It was 100 mile an hour. It was like watching a non-league game. And even if it was a non-league game, I would have walked out because we couldn't string 2 passes together yesterday. It was, no one had a good first touch. No one wanted to get it on the floor. It was header after header. bad touch. It was shocking. The level of quality.
Certainly in that last 15 minutes, Ben, wasn't it? It was very much like that because we had no creativity, you know.
But in terms of Tango, there must be times where he's so frustrated watching it because he must be like, why are they just not doing the basic things? And these are basic things for professional footballers.
Correct.
Yeah.
Anyway, little rant over to Angelo.
Yeah.
You know when he had a go in, Ben, was it at the Carblow Lane end?
No, it was in the first half, Angelo.
Oh, right, because I saw him have a go in the Carblow Lane end, mate, as well.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Can I just say something, right? Can I just say something, right? Tanganga, right, we are always giving the guy plaudits, right? But yesterday, he fucking pissed me off as well, mate, right? Especially that second header, the one in the second half, I'm directly behind that goal, right?
Right, yeah.
Mate, it's a pathetic attempt at a goal. Number one, he should have gone with his head, right? Number two, he's completely free, and all he has to do is fucking volley it into the goal, mate. Do you know what I mean?
Right,
the first half, he misses a clear header as well. And like, I'm getting frustrated now because like everyone's saying, yeah, he's Premiership quality, Premiership this, Premiership that. Mate, he's got 2 chances to get us out of the shit yesterday, and even he fucked up, mate. Do you know what I mean? He had a couple of wayward passes as well. So you know he needs to be. Sometimes he needs to take a little bit of criticism as well. I was so mad with that second half chance, mate. That is a clear goal opportunity, mate, and he's just fucked it up, mate.
The first one, Angelo. If you see that, but I'm sure you've all watched it, was as bad. They showed a replay on telly. Sav had actually, it was obviously a well worked free kick because Sav had actually blocked the defender, and he'd spun around the back. But he's 6 yards out, and he had a completely free header. I mean, that was again a horrendous miss for a player of his quality with a completely free header at the back post. That was a bad one.
Do you know what's so frustrating?
And we moan about free kicks. There was two decent dead balls there that should have resulted in goals. You know.
Good point.
You know, we've all had a crap evening because we lost, right? And you know, it was a shit game and blah blah blah. But let's be honest, mate, right? Them 2 chances for Tanganga, right? What more going through one? Basically, he's through on goal. Yeah, we got the Ivanovic header in the first half. A good striker puts that away, and we lose to an absolutely fluky goal by them. Do you know what I mean? And that's what really frustrates me is that we really should have. Although we played shit, we should have still walked away with 3 points, shouldn't we?
And the Honeyman chance from that Watmore one.
Angelo.
I mean, again. This doesn't sound horrendous, but I'm at that point now where I'm not even bothered about saying it. He's probably the only player on the pitch you don't want that to fall to.
Yeah.
If just actually get your opinion, if that falls to Fleming, does he fit to bury that? Does he?
I think he takes a touch as well, mate. The panic on him.
Yeah.
I think he takes a touch and just rolls it in the bottom corner. It was such, again, a lack of confidence. I need to get a shot away.
Yeah.
It was just, again, bad.
There was lots of those sort of like technical errors, if you want to call it that, especially like Honeyman, again, the second
Leonard's
half.
One, mate. Leonard's one in the first half. He had
Mitchell, second half, when the ball's rolled back to, he had the time to take a touch before he puts that cross in, and he hits it first time, and the ball barely goes a foot off the ground. But again, he's rushing. But again, Angelo, he's rushing that, isn't he? He's rushing that out of what? Out of nerves. And there seems to be a real lack of confidence at the moment throughout the team. I mean,
decision making terrible. I mean, look, Honeyman, that shot. Do you know what worries me as well? And I've said this before. There was another game where he had a shot over the bar and he looked away. He don't look like he's bothered. Now that might be a bit harsh.
Is he not bothered, or is he unhappy at this game?
Well, look, either way, I don't. You know, it don't bother him that he's missed a really good chance. I want to go on record here as saying we talked the other week about.
Well, your mic's a bit funny, Disco.
We talked the other week. Is that better? We talked the other week about who we would re-sign, and I think I put Honeyman above Saville. Absolutely, take that back with spades. The guy. No, it's not funny now, is it? He had a stinker yesterday, and I give him the benefit of the doubt with slotting that one at Sheffield Wednesday, but. That first time effort, as you say, Ben, was bloody. He hit it crisply, but you know, over the bar, like terrible.
He had that whole yesterday, right? Yesterday, right? They've watched the game yesterday, right? And they've seen how bad George Honeyman is, and they're laughing, mate, because they've had our pants pulled down the fact that they've
it's true. There was a time, I think there was Bangura put that through ball towards the end, and then Honeyman takes a good first touch, gets to the byline. Tries to put a cross in, it goes for a goal kick.
That's still rising, I think, mate.
Exactly. And the thing is, I don't know about you. I don't know whether you guys agree or not. I think it's the very first time the fans started getting on his back. I think they even booed him after that. And it was his reaction. He sort of looked at the fans almost, sort of shook his head and sort of like jogged back again. And yeah, is it frustration? Is it more that the fans are annoyed? I mean, I've heard some stuff on Twitter getting on Honeyman's back, and it's weird because me included, a lot of people have been saying for a long, long time that Honeyman isn't the answer to playing at number 10 role. But you still got the certain fans that will back him and say, oh, no, he does a great job for us there. It allows us to kind of play whatever system, allows SA to get forward, whatever. But for me, he's not that great there. And it was interesting because he then drops into deep midfield to pick up the ball late in the second half. I don't know if you saw that. And he looks a player. And he drops deep. Literally, he goes below into more of a CDM role at this point, picks up the ball, and he actually looks a better player for it. And it's so frustrating because I think, playing in his right position, we'll see a better version of him. But at the moment, we're asking him to do something that he's not capable of doing, is he?
No, I agree.
I think you summed it up, mate.
Joe, can I just switching it away from Honeymoon, right? Do you know the one thing that I was actually impressed with yesterday? And I don't know if you guys noticed it. I thought Cooper's passing into the midfield was really, really good.
Yeah, you're right. That's true. He played some lovely ones through the lines, didn't he?
He was doing brave passes. We were chatting on the WhatsApp last night that our players lack bravery. Yeah. No, Cooper was doing these lovely little passes into Casper, into midfield to feet. I love that play. And credit to Cooper.
And also, Angelo, a lot of the balls are played into Ivanovic's feet. I don't know if you noticed that as well. Like, although Ivanovic is like 6'2", we always think, is he the big target man to win headers? He's not that player. But you use him right. You play the ball to his feet, and you can see the link-up play. I mean, he created the Watmore chance because he holds the ball up, plays it over to Watmore, who then breaks through. And there's a few times like that where even the Leonard chance, if you look back at that one, that he plays a 1-2 with Saville, doesn't he? And then Saville then plays the ball out to Leonard, and then Leonard has a shot. So I think if you use Ivanovic right, he can be a better player. But if you hit balls up to him, for him to kind of battle against centre halves, he ain't going to do that job, is he? That's not him,
Yeah,
it really isn't. So, guys, let's go back to Connelly very, very quickly. Is it unfair for us to pass judgment on if he's playing out of position slightly? You can see when he was coming on, Alex Neil was talking to us, pointing kept pointing at the far end. He kept doing that was track back, do this. So you can see that he's asked him to do a job for him. And he just didn't look comfortable in that position for me. I don't know what you guys thought of his contribution because
what is it? Is he a 10 or is he a striker? What is it?
He's supposed to be a striker. But he has dropped in the 10 before. He has played a little bit off on the left-hand side, cutting in. That's not his natural position. He's a striker, but is he a striker in a two-man attack?
Well, the way we play, Joe, in terms of getting the ball forward relatively quickly, he's only 5'8". So what's the point?
Yeah.
It'll be another Tom Bradshaw situation. On Connelly, just one thing, I did have a look, so I thought we would speak about him today. He has only played 30 minutes of football prior to yesterday.
Well, this season?
Since November.
Since November, Jesus Christ.
So, listen, it's not like he's had loads of game time. I know, again, there's been differences of opinion. I took a little bit of positives out of his performance because you can see there's technical ability in there.
Yeah.
You compare him to the likes of Honeyman, Watmore, head and shoulders. He can control the ball, which is already a bit of a plus compared to those two. So, listen, I'm putting it down to rustiness for him. He didn't exactly look in shape, did he, either? I thought he was carrying a bit of timber. We all said that last night.
Yeah.
So I'm going to put it down to the fact he's only played 30 minutes of football since November. He's clearly come from good stock in terms of Brighton. We've said that a few times already. Listen, there's a player in there. If we can get his head right off the pitch, get him a bit fitter, I think we'll be all right. But I will caveat that. If we play him up front on his own, it'll be a waste of time.
Yeah. And just to add to that as well, I'm hearing good things said about him in training as well. I'm hearing that, he looks the player. Like, technically, he's good. He's finishing good.
That, mate. We only saw him for 20 minutes yesterday, but technically for me, I know he tried a couple of things that didn't come off, like you said, that cutting inside, but he had close control. It's better than what we got. Yeah,
the positions he took up as well was very good. Sorry, Disco.
No, sorry, mate. I 100% agree with Ben there. Look, I know people will say, hang on, he was dog shit. No, I think he showed technically he's better than what we've got currently. he's not quite fit or match fit. And I just couldn't get my head around why he stuck him out wide like that and expected him to do a wide man's role, all right, sticking wide, attacking. But when he came on, I thought, well, he's going to tuck in alongside Ivanovic, because Ivanovic was still on, wasn't he, when he first came on? Sure, he was.
Yeah.
I thought he was going to play a 2, and he goes out wide. It was like embarrassing. And that, look, we might come on to that. That worried me, the subs and the formation and the attacking intent. It was a bit Holloway-esque of just throw everybody on, and there was no cohesion whatsoever, which was worrying. But look, Connelly ain't going to be our bloody saviour. And for me, it was just a good bit of business as a replacement for Bradders.
Well, exactly that. Bradshaw's out the door. Connelly comes in. I mean, if you look at both options, which option would you have? Would you rather have Bradshaw or would you rather have Connelly at the moment? I think that's an upgrade on Bradshaw. If you use him right, and to Ben's point, get a couple of games under his belt, get his fitness levels up, and I'm sure there's a player there, isn't there?
Well, 100%. And imagine, well, great example there, Joe. Imagine if we'd have had Bradshaw yesterday and brought him on and put him left wing. What would we have said? So that's exactly. What are you doing? So that worries me with Neil. I think it's a bit getting to know it all, but that was a worry without doubt.
Steve, just to come in on that, do you think again it's just a lack of personnel at the minute? And he was probably thinking, I have to keep Ivanovic on. I need someone out wide because we haven't got anything else. You think it was more that than anything else?
It must be, Ben, but I'm expecting a good quality manager to say, well, look, I've got what I've got. I need to do what I need to do. I'm going to have to rip up the rule book a little bit. Sadly, I think I did hear was it Chris's Preston fans review where they said he's not great at being 1-0 down and subs and changing it. And that worries me because I love a manager who can change and suddenly turn a game round. And we never seem to get them, unfortunately. And it looks like Alex Neil might be in that camp. Good
point. George, what's your thoughts on Bangura Williams? Obviously, we've seen little snippets of him so far. Is he someone who you see as a very, very promising youngster that can probably feature quite heavily this season? Or what's your thoughts on him? What you've seen so far?
Who's that? Sorry, I keep cutting out dodgy uni Wi-Fi.
That's right.
Who's that? Sorry.
Bangura Williams. What do you make of him? Is there a player in there?
Yeah, I think there is. I think he's obviously very raw. He's young. Of course, he isn't. I mean, it was only 2 years ago the guy was playing for Tooting and Mitcham in non-league. So he's obviously extremely raw. He's fine. I keep cutting out. This is awful.
That's all right, mate. Don't worry. No, I hear what you're saying. You're absolutely right, though. He is very, very raw. Yeah, he's only playing for Tooting and Mitcham, like I said, a couple of years ago. But what was interesting, he was 18 years older, 17, 18. He's playing like proper men's football. And, I think the likes of, SA and players like that who played with him in the youth team, they've all been raving on about him for the last year or so. I say he's the next one that's going to come through. And for me, I think he was the only positive yesterday. And it's quite sad, really, that he was the only bright spot, the only good thing that came out of yesterday's game. And he didn't do a lot other than sort of bring the ball down a couple of times, show a little bit of skill in that far corner, and won a header, put a lovely little through ball. But in that sort of 10 minutes that he played, for me, he done more than Honeyman and Watmore put together, didn't he? Am I right or am I wrong saying that?
I mean, I've already said it, right, Joe. I think now I'd rather start seeing him starting and bring Watmore or Honeyman off the bench because, I'd just much rather see it. As you said, listen, he done really well against Dagenham. Great goal, showed a great bit of intent, great feet, great finish. We don't even have that. I wouldn't have the confidence in Watmore or Honeyman doing that, even against Dagenham. So, listen, I'm all in. Get him in the side more. He's clearly got a good head on his shoulders. I mentioned it on our live on Tuesday where I said he'd studied the keeper from Dagenham, which I thought was excellent for a young lad. So, listen, we talk about this new model and developing players. Let's get him in there. Let's start him. Let's see if he is gonna make it for us. And listen, what we've seen so far, it seems like he might do. So, yeah, mate, I'm all for just getting him in.
Yeah, and Angelo, just to add to Ben's point there, I think at the moment, it just seems like all the stars are aligned for Bangura Williams. There's arguments to say that there's certain players fighting for certain positions at the moment in our team. But you must say that number 10 position is up for grabs. There's no one at the moment in that squad that has a right to play at number 10 role. Honeyman's got the role at the moment, but we can clearly see that's not his best position at the moment. Would you be brave enough to sort of start Bangura Williams against Cardiff on Tuesday night in that number 10 role?
Yeah, I'm going to come to Bangura. Just talking about the positives, Joe, yeah? Let's give a little bit of credit to Jensen. He made a great save in the first half.
He did,
mate.
yeah.
And he's got no chance with that goal, mate. He actually nearly gets there. He nearly gets there. So, bit of credit for him. I'm going to give Cooper a little bit of credit because I thought he played well yesterday and I love them passes. I thought Savile had a really good first half, mate.
Yeah, me too.
But yeah, Bangura Williams, mate, when he come on, I felt that there was that situation where in the middle of the pitch, he's chested it down, controlled it, brought it down, and done a little side pass. Our other players ain't got the balls to do that, mate. Yeah. And I felt, I don't know if you guys picked up on it, I felt there was a little bit of fight in him. He's come on and he thought, right, let me see if I can fucking sort this out. 100%, mate. If I'm Alex Neil, like what Ben said, Watmore and Honeyman, you're going to have to play second fiddle to the youngster now.
I agree.
I'm starting Bangura. With our current injury situation, I'm starting Bangura Williams on Tuesday night.
Yeah, this is what I'm saying.
I'd love to see him in that 10, Joe. I'd love to see him in that 10, mate.
Yeah, I agree, mate. And Disco, I just want to add to that. I think at the moment, like I said before, this is the perfect opportunity. Had we had other players that are playing that position, playing a good job, I think it'd be very, very hard for Bangura Williams at his age and his rawness, to George's point, to come in and make a claim for a place at the moment. But the way things are at the moment, that position's up for grabs. And I could just see him, given the game time, given the opportunity, giving him minutes, he can really develop and be a big player for us this season. And it's quite scary to think that we've got this young player from nowhere that's going to come in and almost be our Roman essay.
Yeah. Listen, we've got to be careful. 20-year-old kid, you can't expect to, like you're saying, him to be our saviour as such. But he just looks and feels a bit different because he's had a rough old ride, through non-league football and we talked about him being mentally strong on Tuesday night. You can just see he's not some young kid. And look, I'm not digging him out at all. But like we said, Scanlon was really nervous, which I understand, but still think that lad's going to do, wonders for us this season. And we should keep playing him as well, but play him at left back for me. But Bangura, definitely. Let's give the kid a go. He will not be overawed. No. He will. What we need to be careful is not overplay him. So Angelo's favourite, stick him on for the first half, 60 minutes, sub him if he's having an absolute stormer. But how can he possibly do any worse than
what we've got? So true. Really, really good point. Really good point. And like I said, I think he's got this air of sort of confidence at the moment, where he's in this sort of purple patch, isn't he? And while he's got this confidence and he wants to play football, he wants to make things happen, play him. And it'll be funny, the rest of them, there's no one at the moment, there's no one in that team who's showing any confidence at the moment.
Devoid of confidence, composure. He's got it. So let's use it.
Use it. Like Angelo said, even Tanganga's making mistakes at the moment. That looks a little bit shaky. And that's not Tanganga's fault. It's just the way that we're playing at the moment. We've had one win in 12 games. We haven't won our last 5. That's got to affect the players mentally. So sometimes you need these youngsters got to come in with no fear and that air of confidence just to make shit happen.
But as you say as well, Joe, it's not like we've got anyone in that side that's tearing up trees and is performing really well. This is a perfect opportunity now to say, lads, you aren't performing at the levels we need you to. We've got someone who, as you say, seems is full of confidence, full of enthusiasm, which is probably more important, and wants to prove a point, really.
And wants it, exactly,
Yeah, so listen, I think it's a perfect time. You mentioned the no-winning 5 there, Joe. I just want to chuck a few stats out there from the game yesterday.
Yeah, go on, mate.
So I had a look at Hull's last 5 games, so prior to yesterday. Their last 5 games, some shots on target against the teams they faced. A League 2, Doncaster 2, Leeds 9, Borough 6, Blackburn 2, Preston 2. We had 1 shot on target. That's an average of 4.2 they've conceded. We had 1. Corners, League 2, Doncaster Road had 2. Leeds 7, Borough 7, Blackburn 8, Preston 2. It's an average of 5 a game. We had 1 at home. Hull have kept 3 clean sheets all season, 2 of which are now against us. And after the game yesterday, we're now the lowest scorers in the league.
Wow. Just shows you, doesn't it? Like I said, I've done a post-match chat thing because Chris is away at the moment. And at the end of it, I couldn't help it. I kind of almost fell into this kind of like black hole. I couldn't get out of it. I was like, I felt I was snorkeling again on holiday and over the edge. And I couldn't get myself out. I just kept myself drawn into this negativity. It's almost like, you know what? We're in a shit situation at the moment. And we're not careful. We're going to be banging trouble. And we're in relegation form. We really are. The numbers don't lie, do they, Ben? You know, and I think you saying that just proves it, really, doesn't it? You know, guys, I think we have to wrap up in a minute. Is there anything else we want to add before we kind of finish off on yesterday's game? Really?
Yeah,
really,
Joe. I would
sign some players.
Yeah, that's a must at the moment. 100%. Yeah.
George, look, all joking aside, this is where, you know, there's a lot of love for Gallen at the minute, and there's a lot of hate for Gallen. I'm sort of in the middle right now. This is where he's got to prove himself. Yes, Tristan Kramer was a great signing or looks on paper a good signing for us. That ain't a priority. So we need quickly some pacey forwards, and I say forwards. We need we need 2 in. So the pressure's on him, and not on deadline day. We need them now. You know, so he's known SA's been going. So what's he been doing? But look, just one thing. It's not. Look, I'll stand by. Alex Neil's the right man for us, and I believe he'll do a great job eventually. Although did worry me yesterday some of his decision making. But what really concerned, I said before we came on air, Joe, was also. Look, we seem all over the place. There's a lacking confidence. There's no composure on the ball. There doesn't seem to be any real sort of patterns bits of patterns of play coming in, but not good enough. What worried me yesterday was it just seemed all very disorganised as well as we started going for it. And the best example was when Honeyman was coming off, and they suddenly said, "No, you stay on, and we'll take someone else off." And there was all confusion with that. And I believe that was the same on Monday night. It was a bit of a confusing substitutions. And then Cooper, he was going up front. Then he didn't know whether to come back and you know, for me, what it really looked a bit indecisive, as though nobody really knew what they were doing. So it is worrying.
It is worrying. Cheers for that, Disco. I appreciate that, mate. And George, anything you want to say? Anything you want to end off before we wrap up? Sorry, George, you there?
Well, it was the worst performance of the season Saturday, and it can't get much worse Tuesday. So, yeah, well, that's it. It can't get much worse Tuesday. Cardiff at home, and if we don't get 3 points, I think 3 points is we got to get some points on the board at some point. 1 win in 12 currently. I think Tuesday's a great opportunity to get 3 points. But listen, do I have faith that we can win? No, against another relatively poor side in Cardiff. I don't have any faith or belief that we'll win.
Nice one. Cheers, George. Thanks for that, mate. And get back to bed now, mate. Get a couple of Nurophens down here and hope you feel better soon. Benny, anything you want to add before we wrap up?
I just want to apologise to the listeners because if they've made it this far, they probably want to hang themselves again after yesterday's.
I know.
result. But listen, I always try and be as fair as I can be. Yesterday really, really pissed me off. It was that bad. But look, as George probably said, it can't get much worse. If it does, we are definitely in trouble. And I think, look, if anything, it just goes to show how much quality we need up the pitch. As I said, we're now the lowest scorers in the league. It's evident where we need to strengthen. And as Steve said, we need it now, not at the last day of the window, because what we got 3 games before then. 3 games, is it? So, yeah. Listen, do I see us getting a result Tuesday night? My dad thinks we'll win 3-0. I don't know what he's been smoking. Listen, it can't get much worse, but hopefully we can be a bit more positive.
Exactly. Cheers for that, Benny. Angelo, just to sort of like see us out, mate. Anything you want to leave us with for? Try and make it a little bit more positive if you can, because at the moment I feel a bit sorry for our listeners at the moment. They're all probably going to be on on suicide watch. Listen to us today and negativity. Yeah. But what can you do? This is we're only trying to be honest, aren't we, and truthful. We can't paint it different to what it actually is. This is the situation we're in, aren't we? You know.
Yeah, no positivity from me.
Fuck that then.
You're normally really good at it. At the end, you always give us that speech, don't you? And we say you should be in the change room. So you can do that in a minute, mate. Yeah.
All right,
so
I'll do that.
All I'm going to say, and listen, I bloody well hate slagging off our players. I really don't like doing it. Yeah. But Honeyman and Watmore can't play anymore, mate. They can't. If we want to score goals, we scored 24 bloody goals in 26 games. It's atrocious, yeah. And sometimes we say, "Oh, which of our players could get into like a top 6 championship team?" Right? Which of Watmore and Honeyman could get into a bottom championship team? I don't think they can get into Plymouth's team, mate. Yeah. And it's horrible to say we've got to now start Bangura, even if they bring some more guys from the youth. It would be really nice for the club to tell us what's going on with Mayer. Yeah, you know what I mean? Keeping us all in the dark is not great, is it? My positivity is Alex Neil is still learning about these players, and I'm hoping he'll realise that the two guys that we're talking about are just not the ones to take us forward. Do you know what I mean? So and also on the Cardiff thing. Yeah, I watched the highlights this morning. They bloody looked good yesterday. They were so up for that game, mate. They look powerful.
Cheers, Angelo.
Cheers for Angelo. Any worse than we all do now, listeners.
Honestly,
Angelo just literally put the final nail in the coffin.
They were bloody impressive. But the good thing is, hopefully, that took a lot of energy out of them because it was obviously a Wells derby.
It was their derby, exactly.
Yeah, it was their derby, mate. They were right up for it. Their manager even had a fight with one of the players on the pitch and got a red card. Really good to watch that. So I'm hoping they got no energy left and we do them, mate. But we are only 4 points off the relegation zone now, which is terrible. Over to you, Joe. Over to you.
Oh my God! I'm gonna pour stuff out of this one. To be fair, listen. All I'll say is, look, let's be positive. We've got a long way to go. We're not in the final stages of the end of the season where we're desperately fighting for our lives. We haven't signed any real sort of attacking players yet. There's opportunity. There's money there to be spent. Let's hope that they're doing their jobs and they're looking at players and they'll bring players in. We've still got Aziz to come back. We've still got Marco to come back. Got Josh Cobra to come back as well. Bangor Williams is a shining bright light for us at the moment. Let's use him. Let's start against Cardiff on Tuesday, and let's be positive. Let's go at it and try and bring some players in. That's all I'll say. And one more thing to end on a high is this. Sign him up. That's what we need. A fucking goal scorer.
We can score
on Tuesday.
The big fucking Zamp. That's what we need. Get him on. Guys, thank you so much. I know it's early Sunday morning. I appreciate you all being here and giving us your thoughts. And have a good rest of the week, listeners. Enjoy the rest of the week. Let's hope we'll get a result on Tuesday, and we'll be back. We won't be doing a live on Tuesday because obviously we're at the Cardiff game. So I don't know whether we'll do something on a Wednesday instead. But I'll talk to the guys off there and see what they're saying. If they can, then I'm sure we'll announce that on social media. But guys, enjoy the rest of your weekend. Have a good week, and we'll see you soon. Bye for now.